Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Resident Evil 0. Man, look at how those acid rounds take care of that leech zombie. Mmm, delicious. The hamburger they'll be cooking tonight. But yeah, that's just how easily the acid rounds can take care of the leech zombies. Make sure to save them. They're, quite handy on hamburgers. But yes, we're exploring the last bit of the mansion today, and, yeah, well, you know, we're finally moving on. Yay, the last time we'll ever see these hallowed halls, which quite frankly we spent a bit too much time on. But again, thankfully we are also, seeing the last bit of it today, and at least it's something new as opposed to anything else. Mmm, delicious leech zombies. They go great with a bit of ketchup and mustard. And yeah, this was also where Leechman was, making his domain, stalking Rebecca and, unleashing our next bit of trivia, as it so happens, by which I also mean it's related to the monkey enemies known as the Eliminators. But yeah, the Eliminators, and again, as you could probably tell by the CG cutscene, were spawned from a cult boss monster, which you can kind of tell actually, because the coloration of the monster was, again, it was hidden by darkness, but it was meant to be white. But yeah, it was cut from a grade 8 monster known as Wesker's monster. So yeah, it seems like it was initially planned to be a monster that Wesker would have unleashed, and in turn... And I'm only really basing this off the fact that there was a similar enemy in Devil May Cry 2, where I think it was called Orangera. But yeah, I imagine it probably would have had very similar boss patterns to that, where it probably would have lifted Rebecca up and probably would have required her and Billy to sort of team up and put a stop to it. But yeah, instead it was cut for some reason. I guess they wanted to use it for a different game, as Capcom is of want to do for some of its enemies, one of which we'll actually be seeing at the end of the part. But yeah, that's pretty much the story behind the Eliminators. It was initially meant to be a boss monster, but then it was cut for time, and then it became James Marcus's monster, which is quite unusual given his fascination with leeches, whereas... It was Oswald Spencer that was more behind the mammalian experiments and trying to use that within humans. Because again, as you can probably tell throughout many of the different documents, yeah, James Marcus was very, misanthropic, and that's, quite scary. By the way, you can collect more chemicals around here, mix them around, and make different solutions. There's only really two specific chemical solutions you can make in this game by combining the red and the green chemical, and blue chemical, I believe. But that's much later in the game, and that's used to, well, a very specific effect. So, yeah, you don't quite get as much creative freedom to play with it like you would with, say, the reloading tool, or the different gunpowders you can mix in Resident Evil 2 and 3, but, you know, it is what it is, so... No real complaints. Man, they really are throwing these leech zombies at us. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to happen, but just to prevent it from exploding, yeah, those little leggies won't have a chance to burst. And of course, we go back into the hallway, and look what we see. Oh! The zombie! She is gone! But the theme was still playing. Sacre bleu! But yeah, that's pretty much the trick I was talking about all the way back in the earlier parts of the commentary, where you basically try and take it out as much as you can, leave out of a room as it starts to blow up, come back in, and bada bing, your zombie is gone, and you don't have to worry about leeches infesting the hallways. Oh, by the way, there's also another reason why you don't want to do that if you bring in your partner character, Billy or Rebecca, along, is that yeah, if they happen to see, like, leech, you know, those pishy leeches after the zombies explode, yeah, they will waste ammunition trying to shoot at them, so that's, how you'll say, crap, because the AI character feels compelled to shoot enemies, and I guess because the game technically registers... Excuse me. I guess because the game technically registers them as enemies, they just feel compelled to shoot them, because, fuck it, why not? They're Americans, and like all freedom-loving Americans with their yeehaws and cowboy hats, they just want to shoot them all down. Yay. But anyway, as you can no doubt tell, the majority of this part is primarily focused on just getting the rest of the proof seals. I know I keep calling them that, but that was only ever a thing for Code Veronica, so it's pretty much just, As for what the game calls it, it's pretty much the three founding principles of Umbrella. You know, discipline breeds unity, unity breeds strength. I forgot what the third one was. What was it? It was, unity brings power or some shit. Fuck it, I'd make a terrible Umbrella student, which is why I'm gonna take them down forever. Except instead I'm not. Instead their stocks will crash in Resident Evil 4. Because isn't that a funny joke? You spend all, like, fucking 5 or 6 games building up the threat of Umbrella, but oh no, their stocks crash. Should have been there, it was hilarious. Hey. Anyway, I'll save that rant for another day. But, yeah, I suppose, I mean, in some sense, I guess that was one part of the whole James Marcus posthumous revenge scheme that he would expose Umbrella and... Well, I mean, he did get his wish. I mean, Umbrella did fall, sort of, given more recent games, but that's neither here nor there in this case. Anyway, the next puzzle we have to solve involves Billy, so we're going out of a door, and we're coming back in to bring him inside now. It's like a cat who's out in the cottage. He takes one step outside, and it's like, I kinda don't want to go outside anymore. I'm gonna stay back inside and have a cuddle. But anyway, it's time to go to a place where everybody knows your name. And yeah, it's also where we learn a little something. You can play the piano as Rebecca, but because of the fact that she needed to learn how to play the piano in Resident Evil 1, she kinda sucks at it. Alas, without Chris's expert teachings, she is lost. So you might be wondering how to solve this puzzle, and bizarrely enough, it's actually Billy who comes in handy here, because he knows how to play the piano. Where exactly this trait comes from, how he learnt it, and more to the point, I don't think he ever actually brings it up. Again, you would have thought that the fact that Rebecca sucks at playing it, they would have had like a sweet moment where she asks how Billy knew how to play, and he gets embarrassed or something, because it clashes with his little macho personality. I don't know, I guess it's, yeah, it's, weird. I mean, again, they did need somebody to play the piano to solve the puzzle. It's similar to Resident Evil 1, it's just... It's very eyebrow-raising and weird. But anyway, this is all to serve the purpose of getting the battery, which again, if you'll remember a couple of parts ago, yes, one of the disciplines of Umbrella was up on that little pillar. For some reason, how the fuck it got there I have no idea. Did Leechman put it up there? Did it fall over in the wind? Was it meant to be like something on a plinth or whatever? I don't know. Either way, Billy and Rebecca can help each other to the spirits and let's have a merry old time at the bar where everybody knows your name. Dun 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 dun. But yeah, when the door closes, don't worry, you don't have to replace it with anything. It's pretty much just having Billy play the piano again, open the door, and let Rebecca out. Again, it's not a bad puzzle, it's just quite simple and rather quick in its pacing. So again, it doesn't really bog down the pace too much, so... Yeah, I guess it's an example of the simplistic puzzles working, because it doesn't take too long, but it does make use of the characters, so... I guess that might possibly be a solution if you couldn't think of too many things to use the puzzles for. Just keep it relatively quickly paced and... Yeah, just don't waste time, really. But anyway, that's about pretty much it for this place. We go back down, solve a thing, and since it requires more traversal, it's time for more trivia. And I guess I might as well talk about this, since it does have to do with Billy Coen himself. Not to do with his piano playing skills, mind you, but at least to do with his characterization, that in the N64 version, he was initially presented to be more morally ambiguous. Which, yeah, it does somewhat make its appearance in this game, where they don't make it explicitly clear whether or not he was the one who killed the people who were guarding him. It's like, in the earlier cutscene where Rebecca was like, but no, Billy, that wasn't you, it was the zombie dogs. And again, he did that whole, yeah, whatever, I want it, I'm cool, I'm badass. Nobody will ever like me, because I'm Billy. Bad boy status intact, shades firmly on face, coolness factor at a smokin' sexy stylish. But yeah, I guess maybe the N64 version probably would have made it like, maybe he did kill 23 people. I suppose maybe this probably... I suppose maybe at an earlier stage it probably would have been more dependent on how heavily you were willing to invest in Billy's character, because similar to Resident Evil 1, there were going to be friend and like friendship values depending on how you treat certain characters. I did bring this up a little bit before, but I kind of think similar to Barry Burden, where again, if you waited for him as Jill when he accidentally dropped the rope, you could wait for him to come back or leave, or you know, again, if you had him come back and save you during a specific event, that would have contributed towards Barry surviving and Jill escaping with him. Whereas if you decided to ignore Barry's friendship and, yeah, he'd pretty much die by the tyrant. I'm guessing something similar probably would have happened around this point as well, but what that would have been, I'm not too sure. I don't know, I guess maybe it was changed with the fact that it probably would have been a bit too dynamic for the GameCube playthrough, or what they wanted to add to the game when it was shifted over from the N64, but I don't know. I mean, it would have added a lot of replay value to the game, but then again, I can't really speak for how the game would have been if you had those sorts of variances with Resident Evil Zero's contentious gameplay mechanic. Elevator going down. I'm singing because there's nothing really interesting about a fucking lift. Oh, and it's also box pushing. Whoopee, what fun! You spoil us, Resident Evil Zero, you spoil us. It's a good thing that there's, no more block pushing puzzles to be done. No siree. It's certainly not a more annoying version of the Resident Evil 2 version of the puzzle, where you're in the sewage treatment plant, where, you had to push those boxes of Sherry Birkin, grab a thing, and do it again. Still don't know why I'm heavily foreshadowing a thing that does, fuck it. I've only got one last bit of trivia here, and I think I gotta use it. So yeah, if I come up against a boring bit, I am pretty well fucked. But yeah, this is also to do with enemy trivia, where human tarantula hybrids were intended to be enemies for the game, but were sadly cut. No concept art, unfortunately, but it would have been interesting given, well, it probably would have highlighted James Marcus's experiments. Again, the whole arachnid thing and intertwining that DNA with humans actually would have proved to be a very nice foreshadowing towards the end of the game. At the very least in regards to Leechman, who has been fulfilling James Marcus's revenge. Could it be as his son? Yes, it has to be. But yeah, kind of a shame we didn't get the human tarantula enemies, actually, because it would have been a rather creepy design, and in turn, given a lot of people's fears of creepy crawlies, would have been, very spooky. But, alas, I guess it's neither here nor there in this case. Thought it would have lasted me a long time, but no, I gotta get this thing precisely right. Oh yes, quite nicely. Anyway, to talk about costumes for a while, well, I like the Star's 1996 outfit. Yeah, that's all I got. Dang, I'm out of trivia, I'm out of anything else, and what's really gonna make up for the majority of this part is pretty much just, again, item management, the game, which again I am heavily cutting down, but in turn also just getting everything ready before we can finally move on. And again, I don't want to say that the mansion segment is entirely boring, because what you're doing gameplay-wise is Resident Evil in its purest form. It's just the factor that there's a lot of chaff that you gotta get through in order to get to this point, and the fact that they front-load like a lot of their exposition and a lot of the plot revelations sort of about the midway point is kind of my biggest problem with that. They should have been peppering this stuff all throughout to give moments of excitement, and I don't mean moments of excitement in the sense that, it would break the tension or be, explosive hardcore action. Actionized Resident Evil, baby. But I mean in terms that you'd be getting, information and plot per distance traveled in a way that would continue to entice you diving further into the mansion and, doing stuff, because it's the sort of thing that keeps the gameplay structure fresh, because again, you're getting new bits of information whilst also, solving tertiary puzzles that, again, just help the pacing of the game feel a lot brisker and a little bit more impactful, because again, by the time, and again, I mentioned this all the way back again when I compared it to Resident Evil 3, but the story does kind of jump from 0 to 160 seconds flat, and to me, that generally happens because by the time we get to the next area of the game, we're pretty much in the endgame territory, because we reached what's ostensibly the first part of the final area, then the, you know, little umbrella lab of the final area, then we get to our final boss fight, and it kind of feels like, again, to use a bit of an apt comparison for long-time viewers of the channel, it's kind of like a Sonic Unleashed scenario where they front-load a lot of the plot exposition, like, right at the beginning of the game, then there's, like, a big point in the middle where barely anything happens, and one plot revelation in the middle, and then all of a sudden, you know, everything happens, explosive climax, wow, everybody's going cool, and then that's pretty much it. So, I really don't know how to feel about it. Again, I should be saving these thoughts for the end, but it kind of leaves me wondering what I should really think about Zero, because... You know what, I think I'll say that for a little bit later, because I think it's a bit early to wrap things up when we haven't well, you haven't seen the rest of the game, or so I presume, but I have, and I'll save those revelations for later. But in the meantime, we have a very phallic cutscene coming up, and no, not in the way that you might expect. Now, there was one very important piece of advice I want to give to you. Because of the fact that the observatory has lowered, that also means that the door you came through doesn't enter into the same place that you came out of. So, what you'll be exiting out of if you want to get back to the rest of the mansion is, kind of outside to a point where you face up against a lot of eliminators. So, as you're about to see here, Rebecca's like, oh boy, I can't wait to tell Billy to bring all my stuff down here. And then the craving sets in. See, look, she's greeted by a lot of those Wesker's monkeys. And at which point she's pretty much just like, fuck this, because bullets are useless against them, apparently. So, what I'm cutting out on is basically Billy bringing in all the plot essential items, all the stuff that we'd really need. Primarily the hookshot, because that's going to come in handy with our next little area here that, yeah, we're finally moving on. I don't know how to feel now. Out of the mansion? What new spore of madness is this? But, yeah, basically bringing across all the very important stuff that we need, and, yes, moving on, and we're also going to be having a boss fight in the next part, but, yeah, we've pretty much got everything we need, finally moving on, and, yeah, I'd say this is pretty much our penultimate area of the game. Well, should I really even say penultimate? Because, I mean, the final area of the game is kind of in the same sort of place, so... Yeah, I mean, I meant what I said. We are pretty much moving on, but at, like, a very rapid pace. Actually, no, yeah, it would be the penultimate area of the game, because I kind of forgot, like, a little segment in between where you'd take a train ride. Again. Would have thought Billy and Rebecca would be frightened of those, but... That's neither here nor there in this case. So, yeah, we go out from the mansion, we see bats... Enter a little cathedral. Those bats are rather suspicious. Maybe there's another way around. Maybe we can break in and see some stuff. But no, it seems we have to go into the church, but it also appears to be locked. With no way in. Oh yeah, there's also a lift there. I wonder if that'll be used for anything. But anyway, it's, yeah, rather suspicious, especially with the bats. They've never been an enemy in Resident Evil before. But they were with you know, some trivia I know offhand, because I was looking at it while I was looking through the Devil May Cry concept art, because, yeah, some bat enemies were in that game, actually, with the plasmas that can transform into copies of Dante, but, yeah, there was also a bat enemy planned for Resident Evil 4 Stylish. The earliest known Resident Evil 4 game, which Zero inadvertently took some influence from, and there is actually a bit of concept art in that game depicting a certain bat enemy. Perhaps even a boss fight. Yeah. But yeah, if you don't stand on that little panel that Rebecca was on before, yeah, you won't be able to access the door. So just tell Rebecca to go away, stand on a panel, and let Billy go inside the cathedral to repent for his sins. Primarily because, well, he's a criminal. He did some naughty thing to the naughty boy. And, yeah, if you were thinking that this was an excuse to separate your characters, you'd be right. But then again, given the upcoming encounter, you kind of don't want your partner character to be there because they could get pipped and that'd be annoying, and yeah, it's kind of no bueno, really. But now Billy is going to repent for his sins, and it just makes me want to say, Cantispia! Go to the divinity statue, trade in your red orbs. They'll just repent for your sins or whatever, Billy. Save room. How convenient. I guess it's time to dump all our items in, or get some extra stuff. Nothing suspicious, whatsoever. Just fun. To talk about the save room thing for a moment, it's pretty chill though. Not my favorite. I mean, I guess if I could pad out for time a little bit more by talking about save room themes, Code Veronica is still my favorite. Resident Evil 3 after that, then Resident Evil 2. Then I'd say this one, then Resident Evil 1 Classic, then Resident Evil 1 Remake. I know the other games had some save room things, but I can't quite remember at this point, so fuck it. But yeah, as with any save room that you suddenly appear in, probably best to save just on the off chance that there's an encounter that you can't back out of. I don't know why I'm being so ominous, but it's important. Because, yeah, I mean, even on the easy mode, and especially on the normal and hard modes, this boss is a bit of a pain in the butt. Pain to the max. But you'll be seeing that next time. So, on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal. There's some flame rounds for Rebecca when she gets in here. And next time on the Resident Evil 0 commentary, well, let's just say that things are going to be a bit Betty. Catch you next time.
For the final lecture came here for the one derivative you manage is the one I abhor. I need a minute to eliminate forever what the everyday bullshit that I think you have done. Your impossible ego fuck is like a megalomaniacal jab on my jaw. You fucking touch me, I will rip you apart. I'll reach in and take a bite out of that shit you got.